So this right here is very easily the amount of harm you can be causing as a non-vegan in just one day alone. So you can't say that you are against animal cruelty when you're literally funding animal cruelty all day long. All day long. For every single non-vegan product you consume, an animal is being abused and killed. All of these animals, except for the little male chicks, because they're ground up alive. But all of these other animals, they literally have their heads chopped off. How is that not abusive to chop someone's head off? I mean, I'm sure if, somebody kicked an animal or punched an animal, you would understand that that would be animal abuse. But how is it not animal abuse to chop an animal's head off? How is killing not abuse? So you would rather somebody chop your head off than punch you? I mean, I'd rather be punched than have my head severed. And we don't have to consume the flesh or secretions of animals to be healthy. No, your food actually shits on their own food. My food shits on your food. No, your food actually shits on their own food. Your food literally marinates in shit. Here, let me show you. Let me show you. There's no rational, well, that's not the one. We'll get to that a little later. Let me go back. This person just said that his food shits on my food. No, that's not true at all. Your food shits on their self. Your food literally marinates in shit. These are standard conditions of the factory farms where the food you're consuming comes from. They're living in such filth, they literally have to be given antibiotics to keep them from dying. And then you put the flesh of these deceased animals in your mouth. So, even if you don't care that these animals have their heads chopped off for your food preferences, the fact that these animals spend 6 months suffering. Yeah, if you think this is okay, why don't you go, I dare you just to spend 24 hours with these pigs. If you think it's okay to raise an animal like this. Standard conditions on factory farms. Those sheds where the chickens are kept, where the turkeys are kept, those sheds are not cleaned. During that whole 6-week period that those chickens are being raised for their flesh, those sheds are not cleaned. Once the chickens are shipped to slaughter, then they clean the sheds, put fresh litter down, and bring the new flock of birds in. Yeah, so it's weird that people pride themselves in being clean, but you're literally eating food that comes from pure filth. Well, I'm not the one consuming animal products. So I think the people who consume animal products should spend a day with their victims. And then spend a day at a slaughterhouse listening to those animals scream for their lives. Seeing the conditions of those slaughterhouses, which are just, floor to ceiling covered in blood. The workers all covered in blood. I mean, these animals are literally living through a real life horror movie every step of the way. And even for like the 1 or 2% of animals that might actually be raised on a pasture, you know, you might take pride in the fact that, oh, I buy meat that comes from a pasture-raised animal, and I spend 10 times the price and make sure that that animal at least had a good life before they had their head chopped off as a baby. Yeah, but the better those animals are treated, the more they actually want to live. And to treat somebody nice, knowing all along you're going to end up, you know, butchering them and eating them, that's not humane treatment. That's actually psychotic. And no, it's not my opinion. It's not my opinion that these animals are being abused and massacred by the billions, and the planet's being destroyed in the process, and all you're doing by eating these products is literally increasing your risk of cancer, heart disease, kidney disease, cerebral vascular disease, causing another pandemic like swine flu, bird flu. You know, that's how they believe the Spanish flu started, on a poultry farm in Kansas. So yeah, the very least you could all do, the very, very, very least you could all do right now is just put two words in the search box right here on TikTok, 2 words in the search box: vegan recipes. Put those 2 words in and do a search right here on TikTok. You will find endless vegan recipes right here on TikTok. Scroll through them. If you see something that looks good, click on it, give that creator a follow, and you will see that it is so easy to be vegan, that there are just endless vegan options that are just as tasty, if not tastier, than, you know, the rotting carcasses of animals that were forced to live in a shit-filled shed for months. Yeah, believe it or not, vegan food is pretty tasty. Now, just because you might have tried a couple things and, oh, I don't like that. Well, yeah, there's endless vegan options. And all fruits, all vegetables, all beans, grains, legumes, nuts, seeds are vegan. Most pasta is vegan. Most cereal is vegan. Protein. Oh my God. You teachers out there. Teachers out there. Do you see this? This is pathetic. This is pathetic that people don't even know that plants have protein. What are you teachers teaching these children when they don't even know in the 21st century that all plants contain protein? All plants contain protein. Now, fruits aren't a very good source of protein. The average serving of fruit only contains 1 gram of protein, but grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, beans are a very good source of protein. Plant-based meats are a very good source of protein. Just 2 tablespoons of peanut butter has 8 grams of protein. The bagels that I eat plain contain 12 grams of protein. You can get all the protein you need very easily on a plant-based diet. And the only man from the United States to have made the Rio Olympics a few years back in weightlifting is vegan. Kendrick Ferris, look him up. Kendrick Ferris is vegan, and he is the only man from the United States to have made the Rio Olympics in weightlifting. So Kendrick Ferris is proof you don't have to eat animal products, even if you want to become an Olympic weightlifter. So yeah, I mean, the very least you can do is just, you know, try some vegan recipes if you like to cook. Oh, I love to cook much, much more since going vegan. I actually enjoy cooking since going vegan. Yeah, even before, many years before going vegan, I never liked, you know, like making a meatloaf or, you know, Thanksgiving and having to reach my hand into that ass cavity of that dead turkey. That was always nasty to me. Even way before I went vegan, I just like didn't like touching dead animal flesh. Just creepy. But, you know, I was just raised to think that it was just a given. It's just a given we eat meat. You have to eat meat for protein. Yeah, because we're not educated when we're growing up. We got to learn these things on our own. Yeah, so I was literally duped into eating animal products growing up. Never even heard the word vegan until I was like in my 20s, even though the word vegan was coined back in like 1944. And the concept of veganism is right there in your Bible for you Christians. Yeah, just turn to the very first page. The very first page of the Bible. Right there. Genesis 1:29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Romans 14:21. It is good not to eat flesh. Isaiah 11:6-9. The wolf will lay with the lamb, and there will be no more harm. Yeah, I am not religious, but every day I get from people, God put animals here for us to eat. God put animals here for us to eat. No, he did not. We are not living in a time where there was a catastrophic flood and we're literally in a survival situation. Yes, if you are in a survival situation and there's like no other choice but to either hunt and or fish, then it would be acceptable. It's still a cruel thing. You know, it's still a cruel thing when a lion kills a gazelle. It's still a cruel thing. But I understand, like, a lion hunting for their food is necessary for their survival. They don't have a choice. They have to kill to survive. You don't. We have never lived in a time where we have access to so many plant-based food options as we do right now. And more options are becoming available. So, yeah, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Thou shalt not kill. There is no exception listed next to that commandment. And also, the very first step in producing animal products, check out the last video that I posted. Check out the last video that I posted. Thank you for that. Step 1. They masturbate a male animal and force that animal to ejaculate. True story. I know it sounds awful. I know it sounds crazy because it is awful and it absolutely is crazy. But I'm telling you this because you as a consumer of animal products, you need to know how those animal products are being produced so that you can make educated choices, especially when you're literally telling vegans, like all of you Christians, literally telling us vegans that God put animals here for us to eat. I hear that every day, multiple times a day, most times. No, has nothing to do with God, everything to do with bestiality. And why are they doing that to animals? Why are they doing that to animals? Because it's a cost-effective and efficient way to get them to reproduce. They have select male animals that they use to collect semen from, and they could get they can get all the semen they need from just one male animal. So yeah, it is the most cost-effective and efficient way of them forcing those animals to reproduce. And some of those animals, like the chickens and the turkeys, they are bred to grow so fast and so large that physically they cannot mate. But you see, they call it artificial insemination in the industry. They call it artificial insemination, and they literally spew this nonsense that they artificially inseminate the animals because it's for the animals' protection. Because, like in the case of dairy, if we let those bulls mount those dairy cows, they might injure and or kill the dairy cows. So we are doing the dairy cows a favor by, masturbating the bull ourselves or shoving an electro-ejaculator in his anus to get him to ejaculate, taking the semen and forcing it into the vaginas of those unconsenting dairy cows. Those dairy cows are not like, hey, human, can you help me have a baby? No, this is being done for the sinister purpose of getting those animals to reproduce so that these farmers can fatten up their babies and slaughter them for their flesh. And in the case of dairy, to get those dairy cows pregnant so that they will start to lactate so that they can steal the food that belongs to those dairy cows' babies. And in the dairy industry, they're slaughtering all the male calves. On some farms, they'll kill the male calf right away because they have no use for the male calves, but typically they'll sell them off to the veal industry where they're killed at just a few weeks old. But even if they're sold to the beef industry, beef cattle are slaughtered between 12 to 22 months of age. Those animals can live over 20 years. And yeah, people do need to know the truth so that they can make educated choices. See, I didn't know any of this growing up. I never even thought twice. I never even thought twice about the products I used to consume, the animal products that I used to consume. Because I just thought it was a given that we eat animals. And so when I would go grocery shopping, after I got out on my own, got my own job, got my own place, I would go to the grocery store and get animal body parts. And I never even looked at it like I was buying animal body parts or animal secretions. I just looked at it like I was buying food. Bacon, food. Steak, food. Fish is food. Chicken is food. Cheese is food. It's like 35 years old when I stopped eating meat. When I stopped eating beef and pork and chicken and turkey because I saw slaughterhouse footage. And I didn't think an animal should have to go through that for my food preferences. But growing up, I never thought about that. I never saw slaughterhouse footage. I never put two and two together. I guess, I just thought, I was just foolish. I think, when I was probably 5 or 6 and I started to learn about death, that we all don't live forever. And, I started learning that, beef comes from a cow. A chicken is an actual chicken. I just, in my mind, my naive mind just thought that, when the animal died naturally, we turned them into food. Well, that wasn't correct. When I got older, late 20s, started coming across slaughterhouse footage and started rethinking my eating habits. I'm like, this doesn't seem right to me. But, it was like everybody around me was eating animals. Nobody around me ever questioned, why are we doing this? Is there another way? So yeah, I didn't immediately stop eating meat upon seeing slaughterhouse footage. Unfortunately, I wish I would have. But I just started thinking about wow, that's pretty fucked up. And then gradually, as I started seeing more slaughterhouse footage, I was like, no, I just can't do this anymore. This isn't right. But when I first, gave up eating beef and pork and chicken and turkey, I continued to consume dairy products. I continued to consume eggs because cruelty. So I always, thought once I, learned there were vegans in the world, people didn't consume any animal products. I kind of was like, well, why don't they consume dairy products? Why don't they consume eggs? That's kind of extreme because you don't have to herd a cow for dairy products. You don't have to herd a chicken for eggs. So back in 2015, when I first gave up eating beef and pork and chicken and turkey, I continued to consume dairy products and eggs for another 7 years. Another 7 years, because I honestly did not think that there was any animal abuse in the dairy industry. I honestly didn't think there was any animal abuse in the poultry or in the egg industry. But yeah, why did it take me 42 years? 42 years to learn the truth about the dairy industry. Why did it take me 42 years to learn the truth about the egg industry? Because the industry doesn't want people to know the truth. But yeah, when I learned the truth about the egg industry and the dairy industry, that's when I was like, I have to go vegan. This is not right at all. The whole entire animal agriculture industry is based on extreme animal cruelty. In the dairy industry, in case you don't know, because I didn't know, dairy cows do not produce milk because they're dairy cows. Like, I even used to think that. Well, they're dairy cows. That's just what they do. They produce milk. We have to, take the milk from them because it just keeps flowing. No, dairy cows actually produce milk because they are mothers. That's why those dairy cows produce milk. They're mothers. They're forcibly impregnated. As soon as they give birth, they are stolen. And I don't think it was this account. One of my other accounts, I just did I'll do it on this account because I'm going to post it on every account that I have. Because this is from like a dairy farmer himself. So I'm like, this is some damning shit right here. Yeah, just came across on YouTube a dairy farmer who posted footage just the other day. He goes into the barn where his pregnant dairy cows are. One of the dairy cows had just had a baby. And that baby's a boy. And he's literally describing, that this is a boy. I think this is a beef calf. We're going to send, we're going to sell him off in about 10 days. 10 days. But that same day that little calf was born, he was putting that little calf outside in a little teeny pen with a little hutch. And out of his own mouth, he said the temperature with the wind chill was going to be 20 below zero. Now, any temperature below zero is life-threatening to a calf. And this dairy farmer is literally taking this newborn calf off of his mother the same day that he was born, because this is standard practice in the animal agriculture industry, in the dairy industry, that they take the little calves off of their mothers on day one. And he's literally putting this calf outside when the wind chill is going to be 20 below zero. So non-vegans can consume the baby food, the stolen baby food of that little calf. And then that little calf, because, the dairy farmer is like, that's a beef, that's a beef calf. So he's trying to say he doesn't send his male calves to slaughter for veal, that they get sent off to the beef industry. But you should know that beef cattle are slaughtered at 1 year old. 1 year old, they're slaughtered. Beef cattle. So yeah, for you to have a steak, that comes from an animal that's just 1 year old. Beef cattle can actually live over 20 years. But they're slaughtered at 1 year old. And I don't understand how anybody could see that happening to an animal and continue to support that. It's clear that it's animal abuse. But yeah, again, I didn't post it on this account, but I am probably tomorrow. I'm going to post that video. And I think I do a pretty good job at editing these videos that I get off of YouTube. Because I think it was like a 14-minute long video that this dairy farmer posted. And I edited it down to 1 minute. And, oh, is it damning? Is it damning? Yeah, newborn calf. The dairy farmer walks into this barn where his pregnant dairy cows are, and the one dairy cow just gave birth. And then he's going on, oh, this looks like a male, this is a beef calf, and we keep them for 10 days. So he just said he's only going to keep him for 10 days. And the little newborn baby is in a barn with his mother. Just was born within a few hours. And he's literally taking this baby off of his mother and putting him out fucking side in a tiny little pen with a little hutch. And out of his own mouth says that the wind chill is going to drop to minus 20 degrees. But he's still putting the little baby outside instead of keeping him inside of the barn with his mother. Because supposedly, that's supposed to be for the health of the baby. Like, how about, stop freaking sexually assaulting animals and stealing their babies from them and doing awful things to those babies? How about that? How about going vegan and stop supporting animal abuse? Yeah, let me just tell you, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Sir Isaac Newton, Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, Socrates, Pythagoras, Plato, Plutarch, all abstain from eating animals because they knew it was immoral and unhealthy. And even Albert Einstein knew that it was not environmentally sustainable. Yeah, it is sexual assault. They literally masturbate the male animals and force them to ejaculate. Those animals do not give consent. I hope you understand that you should not be touching anyone's private parts without their consent. And even if these animals did give consent, that's still bestiality. That is still bestiality. And if you're Christian, yeah, look at what your Bible says about bestiality and what the punishment should be. Yeah, well, before I get into that, let me just go over this for a minute. Again, this is the dairy industry. What most consumers don't realize is that dairy cows do not automatically produce milk. Dairy cows actually produce milk because they're mothers, not because they're dairy cows. They are forcibly impregnated. How that's done is, well, they have to have semen to artificially inseminate those animals. So what they do is they have select male animals. In the dairy industry, they have select bulls that they collect semen from. How they collect that semen? Well, they masturbate that bull until he ejaculates, or they will shove an electro-ejaculator in their anus and force them to ejaculate. Yeah, that is sexual assault, and it is bestiality, because sexual relations between a human and an animal is in fact bestiality. Doesn't matter whether or not the farmer is getting any kind of sexual gratification themselves. The fact that they're giving sexual gratification, sexually stimulating an animal, that is sexual relations between a human and an animal. Sexual relations between a human and an animal is in fact bestiality, and it is a sin for you Christians. So they take that semen that they force out of those male animals in the dairy industry, out of the bulls, and they force it into the vaginas of the female animals. So in the dairy industry, they're forcing semen into the vaginas of unconsenting dairy cows. That is sexual assault. I mean, if you were to force semen into a woman's vagina without her consent, that would not be called artificial insemination. That would be called rape. That would be called sexual assault. And it should be a crime just the same when it's committed against a non-human animal. And they're doing this for the sinister purpose of getting these animals to reproduce, to steal their babies in the beef industry and the pork industry and the poultry industry so they can fatten up their babies for slaughter, in the dairy industry so that they can get those dairy cows to start lactating, because they have to be pregnant before they will start lactating. So they are forcibly impregnated. They are sexually assaulted to get them pregnant. And then as soon as their babies are born, their babies are stolen. And if those babies are boys, they're typically sold to the veal industry and slaughtered at just a few weeks old. And this screenshot behind me is of an undercover investigation at a slaughterhouse where they are slaughtering the male calves taken off of the dairy cows. And if you Google Kinder World Calf Slaughter, this should be the first video that comes up. So I dare you to watch it and show your friends, show your family. Ask them if they knew that this was happening so that they can have a cheese pizza, so that they can put cream in their coffee. It's not right. And those dairy cows are sent to slaughter, in case you don't know. When those dairy cows can no longer produce enough milk to be profitable, they are sent to slaughter. That happens about 5 years of age, when those dairy cows can actually live over 20 years. Yeah, I get the facts from the farmers themselves. Yeah, you can see farmers literally collecting semen from male animals, forcing that semen into female animals. And if you don't understand that that is sexual abuse, there's something wrong with you. And yeah, it is a fact that those dairy cows have to be pregnant before they will start lactating. And what do you think? Do you actually think dairy farms are doubling in size every year? Because, yeah, they're forcibly impregnated to get them to start lactating. And then they're re-impregnated every year, about once a year, to keep them lactating. So do you actually think a dairy farm is doubling in size every year, or even every 2 years? No, something is happening to those calves born on those dairy farms. The males are all being slaughtered. That's for certain. On some dairy farms, they'll slaughter the male calves right away. But typically, they're either sold to the veal industry and slaughtered at a few weeks of age, or sold off to the beef industry and slaughtered at 1 year old, when they can live over 20 years. And in at the hatcheries, where all egg-laying hens come from, even the organic free-range egg-laying hens, they cannot determine the sex of the chicks until they hatch. So upon hatching, they sort the males like they did here. These are all male chicks that are being dumped into a macerator and ground up alive because they're useless to the egg industry. And this breed of bird is not the same breed used for meat. This breed of bird does not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat. So this is standard practice throughout the egg industry across the globe. Now, at some hatcheries, they might just throw the little male chicks in the dumpster where they either suffocate or starve to death. At other facilities, they might gas these little babies, but in a lot of these egg hatcheries, they grind them up alive by dumping them into a macerator. No, not chicken nuggets. Again, they're ground up alive and disposed of. These birds are not used for meat. They do not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat. And then those egg-laying hens themselves, they are sent to slaughter when they can no longer produce enough eggs to be profitable. See, they're forced to produce up to 10 times more eggs than is natural. Like in nature, a hen would only lay like 1 or 2 dozen eggs per year. But in the egg industry, they're forced to produce like 200 to 300 eggs per year. So that puts a lot of stress on their bodies, causing all kinds of health issues. So by the time they're just a year and a half of age, those birds can no longer, their bodies can no longer keep up with that kind of egg production. So then they can no longer make those egg farmers a profit. So they're sent to slaughter and replaced by younger, more productive egg-laying hens. Those birds can actually live over 7 years, but in the egg industry, those hens only last about a year and a half. So yeah, you need to go vegan because the whole entire animal agriculture industry is based on nothing but extreme animal cruelty. I mean, come on, grinding up little baby animals alive? I mean, would you actually support, someone who was like grinding up puppies alive or grinding up kittens alive? You would know that would be an awful thing. But yeah, if you're consuming eggs, you're literally supporting an industry that grinds up little baby animals alive. Maybe not puppies, maybe not kittens, but little male chicks ground up alive. That's evil. That is evil. And it's certainly animal abuse. Grinding up a little baby alive, they literally are dumped into these spinning blades that grind them up alive. Yeah, eat plant-based chicken. Eat plant-based chicken. Well, I think I'm going to get ready to... Before I do, I want to prove something to you before I sign off. And that is that it is standard practice throughout the entire animal agriculture industry that farmers sexually abuse animals. So yeah, they're not just physically abusing these animals by chopping their heads off, dumping them into macerators and grinding them up alive, but they are also sexually abusing these animals. And it's not just happening in the pork industry. It's also happening in the poultry industry with chickens and turkeys. It's also happening in the dairy industry and the beef industry with cows and bulls. It's also happening in the salmon industry with fish. It's also happening in the honey industry with bees. Yeah, there's plenty of instructional videos, especially on the bees, how they force those bees to reproduce. They call it artificial insemination. And it's standard practice throughout the entire animal agriculture industry. They call it artificial insemination, and there's tons of instructional videos on how to artificially inseminate bees, how to collect semen from a male bee. How they collect that semen from a male bee? Yeah, they literally squeeze on their abdomen until they ejaculate. And then the bee dies. And they restrain the queen bee and literally force semen from about 10 to 20 different male bees into her to get her to reproduce. And it's true. Just look into it. Just look into it. I don't want you to take my word for anything. I want you to look into this, all of this on your own. And you'll see. It's a lot worse than what I can explain. Yeah, but this is a screenshot of an instructional video put out by the pork industry showing how they collect semen from a male pig so they can artificially inseminate a sow so you can eat bacon, so you can eat her baby. Oh yeah, and this video is really disturbing. She's literally masturbating this pig and forcing him to ejaculate. This is bestiality. So yeah, this is proof that you're funding bestiality. This is proof that you're funding sexual abuse when you consume animal products. This is proof. You can't deny it. So going forward, if you continue to consume animal products, you are now a knowing and willing participant in bestiality and the sexual assault of animals. True story. True story, and I'm proving it to you right here. This is an instructional video, and you can find all kinds of instructional videos on the internet, on YouTube. Put out by the poultry industry, put out by the pork industry, put out by the salmon industry, put out by the honey industry, put out by the dairy industry, the beef industry. Showing how they artificially inseminate animals. And, you know, obviously for that artificial insemination process to take place, they have to have semen. And this is how it's done. Because this is the most cost-effective and efficient way to force animals to reproduce. And animals like, you know, chickens and turkeys, physically, they are bred to grow so large that they can't mate. They cannot mate. But yeah, we don't have to consume the flesh and secretions of animals to be healthy. So this is not something that should be done at all. I mean, even if we had to eat meat and dairy to live, still a fucked up thing. But yeah, we don't have to be consuming animal products. So if the fact that those animals are having their heads chopped off all day long for all of those non-vegan products you consume isn't enough to make you realize you need to go vegan, because nobody deserves to have their head chopped off for your food preferences. I mean, come on. Seriously, nobody deserves to be sexually violated for your food preferences, but they are. So now you know. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. At least do that much. Keep this in mind when you buy bacon. Keep this in mind when you buy chicken nuggets or anything, because they're doing this to roosters too. Really, really disturbing. Really, really disturbing. Yeah, sick. It's sick, but yeah, it is legal. It is legal, but it doesn't make it right. Or is that what you're trying to say? Because you're like, this is legal. Yeah, it's legal, but it should absolutely be a fucking crime. But did you ever wonder why this is legal? Why in most states bestiality is legal? Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's why bestiality is legal in most states. So that these farmers can't get charged with a crime. Yeah, I would love to see what a psychologist would say about this whole situation. About non-vegans and vegans and farmers masturbating animals and literally trying to brainwash everybody like, this is what we have to do. This is to help these animals. Because if we don't do this, if we don't jack off animals, they might end up hurting themselves, having sex naturally. Okay, yeah. Let's get a psychologist in here to analyze all this. Yeah, it's legal. Yeah, see how this person's like, it's legal. He keeps saying it's legal. Like, hey, it's all good. It's legal. Guess what? Anybody with a functioning brain cell in their head knows this is some fucked up shit. And they're going to go vegan. They're going to go vegan. And that's why you're mad. That's why you're mad, because I'm getting people to go vegan. I'm getting people to go vegan because most people are like, oh, fuck no, this is wrong. And you're like, oh, fuck, this is legal, so it's okay. But no, most people understand whether this is legal or not, this is not okay. This is not okay. And now you understand why bestiality is legal. Yeah, now you understand why bestiality is legal in most states. Because this whole animal agriculture industry would disappear. I don't care how many people. I don't care if it said 0 viewers. I don't care how many viewers it says I have. Like right now, total number of viewers, 8,500. 8,500 total, because I've been on here for about an hour now. And at the beginning, I had a lot more people viewing. I don't care. I really don't care how many people are watching. I mean, even if I just get one person to come across my content, that's a potential person who's going to wake up to reality and say, damn, I didn't know this shit. I need to go vegan. And again, the very, 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 very least you all should be doing right now, just in the search box, right here on TikTok, in the search box, just put 2 words, vegan recipes in the search box. You'll come across endless vegan recipes. Scroll through them. When you come across something that looks good, click on it. Give a follow to that creator. You will see that there are endless vegan recipes, and that vegan food is so delicious, and a lot of it's very simple and easy to make. And I enjoy cooking much, much more since going vegan. So nice not having animal body parts and secretions in my refrigerator anymore. My refrigerator no longer looks like Jeffrey Dahmer's refrigerator. So yeah, 2 words in the search box, vegan recipes. If you don't like to cook, look up happycow.net, happycow.net. Put in your city, you can find vegan and vegan friendly restaurants anywhere. Just try some vegan food. Grocery stores are filled with vegan options. All fruits, vegetables, beans, grains, legumes, nuts, seeds are vegan. Most pasta is vegan. Most cereal is vegan. There's all kinds of plant-based meat on the market. And the plant-based meat alternatives, I'm telling you, in most cases, it actually tastes better. Like the plant-based chicken, I think the plant-based chicken tastes better than the chicken that literally marinated in a shit-filled shed for 6 weeks. Imagine that. Imagine that. And a plant-based diet is going to be much, much healthier, especially if you're sticking to as close to a whole foods plant-based diet as possible, filled with fruits, vegetables, beans, grains, legumes, nuts, seeds. That is the best diet for human health, can even significantly reduce your risk of cancer and heart disease and kidney disease and cerebrovascular disease. And going vegan is the best way to save the planet. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from researchers at Oxford University, who had done a study of over 40,000 farms and concluded that animal agriculture is so environmentally destructive, going vegan is the best way to save the planet. And that if the world went vegan, land totaling the size of Africa could be freed up, because that is how much land is needed to graze and grow food for all of these ceaseless tens of billions of animals that are needed to keep up with the demand for animal flesh and animal secretions. It takes a lot of resources to feed these animals. Like, these animals just don't come into existence on day 1 and are slaughtered the next. Like, pigs are raised for 6 months before they're slaughtered. So they have to be fed day after day after day after day for 6 months, given water day after day after day for 6 months. And they're producing a lot of waste. Here in the United States, every single minute of every single day, livestock produce roughly 7 million pounds of manure per minute, which is like 130 times more excrement than the entire population of humans produce in the United States each minute. So most of that excrement ends up in the rivers, which lead to the oceans, which leads to ocean dead zones. So yeah, animal agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, water pollution, water depletion, ocean dead zones, ocean plastics, fisheries depletion, pandemics, world hunger, and climate change. And I'm not even exaggerating. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. You can believe that all you want, but I'm literally here just stating facts. And the reason why I talk about this is because most people don't know that this is standard practice. They don't even know this is even happening. So yeah, I'm going to tell you the facts, okay? I'm going to tell you the standard practices of the animal agriculture industry. And this is a standard practice. So yes, I'm going to talk about this. No matter how crazy it might seem, yeah, it's crazy because it is crazy. What they're doing to these animals is absolutely crazy. But I'm going to continue to talk about it because most people don't know this is happening. And, you know, for Christians especially, it makes me so sick. You know, these homophobes, you know, these preachers and stuff who are homophobes. And they're telling, you know, these people they're going to hell because, you know, they're gay. Well, you know, at least gay people are in consensual relationships, okay? These animals do not give consent to having their genitals messed with, okay? But, you know, these homophobes really need to know that you think homosexuals are going to hell? Wow. You're funding bestiality if you're not vegan. You're literally funding bestiality. Look at what your Bible says about bestiality and what the punishment should be. Yeah. And in more cases than not, it's a man. It's a man that's masturbating these male pigs. It's a man that's shoving an electro-ejaculator in a bull's anus to get that bull to ejaculate so you can eat a steak. So you can eat cheese. Yeah, so take that. Take that, you homophobe. Because you're literally funding bestiality. And again, look at what your Bible says about bestiality and what the punishment should be. At least homosexuals are in like consensual relationships. These animals don't give consent. And again, even if this pig did say, go ahead and play with my pee-pee, even if this pig did give consent, this is still bestiality. It's still bestiality. And no sane, decent, rational person should be funding it. But you are if you're not vegan. That's a fact, and I'm proving it to you. Because this is standard practice. This is a screenshot of an instructional video put out by the pork industry. She's literally masturbating this pig until he ejaculates. So she can forcibly impregnate a female pig, a sow, so you can eat bacon, so you can eat her babies. And yeah, you're not pro-life if you're not vegan. You're not pro-life if you're not vegan because you literally eat babies of other species all day, every day. For every single non-vegan product you consume, you're having a baby killed. Even for dairy products. Those dairy cows are actually mothers. That's why they produce milk. That milk is food for their babies, but their babies are stolen. If those babies are boys, they're slaughtered. So you can consume their stolen baby food. Oh, but it tastes good. Well, guess what? Sensory pleasure is not justification for killing someone. Now go vegan and you'll see that plant-based foods are just as delicious, if not more delicious. They're actually much, much healthier and much, much more environmentally sustainable. Yeah, just do a search. You will come across instructional videos put out by the industry itself. The pork industry, the poultry industry, the salmon industry even, the dairy industry, the beef industry, even the honey industry. They're even doing this with bees. But in the case of the male bees, they literally squeeze on their abdomen until they ejaculate and then the bee dies. And then they restrain the queen bee and they force semen of like 10 to 20 male bees into her. If you were to force semen into a woman without her consent, I seriously doubt you would call that artificial insemination. I'm literally stating facts. I'm literally just stating facts. And consumers have the right to know the standard practices of the animal agriculture industry so that they can make educated choices, so that you can understand why you need to go vegan and why you need to go vegan right now. You need to go vegan right now because if you continue to consume if you continue to consume animal products, I need to slow down. But it's like I want to try to keep this under an hour, but I think that's not going to work now because I think I've been on here for over an hour. But yeah, from this point forward, if you continue to consume animal products, you are now a knowing and willing participant in bestiality. And that is a fact. And I just proved it to you. So you have to go vegan. You have to go vegan. Unless, you don't see a problem with, supporting the sexual assault of animals or bestiality. Animals are not people. Animals are not people. So what? That gives you the right to masturbate them? Really? That gives you the right to steal their babies from them and mutilate them and force them to live in a shit-filled shed for months in such filth they have to be given antibiotics? You're a speciesist. You're a human supremacist, to say the least. And you're funding the worst atrocity in history. This is the worst atrocity by far. I mean, if the same exact things happening to these animals to produce animal products were happening to humans, they would in fact be crimes of rape, kidnapping, theft, and murder. And this atrocity is literally causing the 6th mass extinction. Animal agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, water pollution, water depletion, ocean dead zones, ocean plastics, fisheries depletion, pandemics, world hunger, and climate change. Just look it up. You'll see I'm not lying. What about protein? Oh, any teachers out there, why do these people not know that all plants contain protein? All plants contain protein. Now, fruits aren't a very good source of protein. A serving of fruit typically only has like 1 gram of protein. But beans, legumes, grains, nuts, seeds are a very good source of protein. Just 2 tablespoons of peanut butter has 8 grams of protein. Yeah, my lipstick is absolutely vegan and not tested on animals, so I don't know what you're on about. Well, yeah, don't eat nuts then. Yeah, don't eat nuts if you're allergic to it. But there's tons of other plant-based food options that you can eat if you're allergic to nuts, or if you're allergic to soy, or even if you're gluten intolerant. There's still tons of vegan foods you can eat. I'm allergic to plants. I'm allergic to liars. Well, yeah. How else am I going to tell people what's actually happening if I don't, if I don't witness it? Yeah, I'd have to be crazy to know what I know and not be vegan. I would have to be crazy to know what I know and keep it to myself. That would be supporting this. If I just kept my mouth quiet, then this is just going to go on forever. And I want this to stop. That is why I'm bringing it to your attention, because I want this to stop now. That is why I'm bringing this to your attention. If I just go away and just keep quiet about these things that I know, that I discovered about the animal agriculture industry, this is just going to go on and on and on and on. I want this shit to stop. You have the power to stop this by going vegan. But when you choose to continue to consume animal products, you're the reason why these animals are being abused and massacred. There are a lot of vegan athletes. vegan football players, vegan weightlifters, vegan bodybuilders. Yeah, Kendrick Ferris, he is a vegan, and he is the only man from the United States to have made the Rio Olympics in weightlifting. Okay, so here's one, Bare Minerals. Bare Minerals is vegan and not tested on animals, at least the lipstick. I don't know, I think maybe they do have some products that contain honey, but the lipstick doesn't. The lipstick is absolutely vegan and not tested on animals. Gabriel Organics is vegan. I think all of their products are vegan and nothing is tested on animals. Gabriel Organics, and 100% pure. 100% pure. None of their products are tested on animals. Their lipstick is vegan, and most of their products are vegan, but I think there are some products that contain honey. I don't consume anything that contains honey. Yeah, because again, those bees are being abused in more ways than one. They literally masturbate the male bee, force him to ejaculate, then he dies. Then they restrain the queen bee, force the semen of like 10 to 20 male bees into her to force her to reproduce. It takes a bee their entire life to produce just 1 teaspoon of honey. I mean, what right do we have to steal that from them? And some of those bees die when their hives are raided and robbed. And some of those bee farmers will literally destroy the whole colony of bees and replace them with a more productive colony of bees. Yeah, so I'm going to sign off. And like I said, I don't want you to take my word for anything that I've said here. Just look into this on your own time. And, you know, right there in your hand all day long, you hold a device where you can find all kinds of instructional videos put out by the animal agriculture industry demonstrating the standard practices like the artificial insemination process. All kinds of undercover investigations done by all kinds of organizations all over the world. So wherever you live, just do a search for undercover investigations of dairy farms and pig farms and poultry farms in your area. You'll see it's so much worse than I could ever describe with what's happening to these animals. Look at the studies showing the environmental consequences of animal agriculture. And studies on the health aspects of how, you know, a plant-based diet literally can help solve so many health problems. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, cerebrovascular disease. You know, you can significantly reduce your risk of so many very common and very deadly diseases by going on a plant-based diet. It will never stop if people stay silent about it and continue to support this industry. I want this to stop. I don't want this to go on forever. That's why I'm vegan, and that's why I'm speaking out against this disgusting industry, because I want this to stop. But, you know, if I keep quiet and don't let you know all of the things that I know about this industry, because, you know, some people are like, I don't care about animals. I don't care that they're getting their heads hacked off. That's why I, you know, talk about this. One of the reasons why I talk about this. Because, you know, maybe you don't care about the fact an animal's getting their head hacked off for your food preferences, but maybe you'll care that they're literally being sexually violated. Maybe you'd care about that, or maybe you'd care about the fact that the more meat, dairy, and eggs you consume, the more risk you have of heart disease and cancer. Maybe that would get you to go vegan, just, you know, because you don't want to get heart disease, you don't want to get cancer. So you're like, oh, maybe it is in my best interest to lay off eating meat and dairy and eggs. So yeah, that's why I talk about like just about anything and everything I can think of to convince people to go vegan, to leave these animals alone. I'm balding. No, I'm not. I'm not balding. I know what you're talking about. Oh, I think somebody's getting mad. You know, they want to start, you know, talking about my looks. You know, I'm literally telling you, if you're not vegan, you're paying people to sexually violate animals, and you're like, you're balding, lady. No, I got a pretty full head of hair right there. You're pretty thick too. Oh, take your meds, lady. Take your meds. Yeah, I would have to be sick to know what I know and not be vegan. I would have to be sick to know what I know and keep what I know to myself. I mean, you're sick, okay, to be like defending this shit, because that's what you're doing. Like, for you to make that comment, take double the meds tonight, Karen. You're literally, by that comment, you're literally defending this behavior. You're defending bestiality. You're defending the sexual assault of animals. And you're literally telling me I'm crazy. Yeah, but I'm going to come out with some pretty damning footage tomorrow. Dairy Farmer, I just copied his video. And so right from a dairy farmer himself, he goes into this barn where his pregnant dairy cows are, and there's a newborn calf on the floor. And this baby was just born like within the past few hours of him going into that barn. And he's literally taking the baby and placing the baby outside as he's saying that the temperature, the wind chill is going to reach minus 20 degrees. And literally takes this baby that's inside of a barn with his mother, takes this little newborn baby, and puts him outside as he's saying the temperature is going to drop to minus 20. Sub-zero weather is literally life-threatening for those calves, especially a newborn calf. Yeah, so I'm going to be posting that tomorrow on this account. Standard practice in the dairy industry that they take those dairy cows, babies from them within hours of them being born. And I'm going to give it to you straight from a dairy farmer himself tomorrow. Straight from a dairy farmer's mouth tomorrow. How he's literally going into this barn, literally taking a newborn baby from his mother and putting him outside in a tiny little pen and saying that the wind chill is going to be minus 20 degrees. If that doesn't get you to go vegan, if that doesn't get you to stop consuming dairy products, God have mercy on your soul. You're gonna burn.